The champagne tasted like betrayal. I stood in the corner of my father's ballroom, watching 300 of New York's elites celebrate a merger I knew nothing about. Crystal chandeliers cast prismatic light across designer gowns and tailored suits. A string quartet played something classical and forgettable. Everyone smiled their practiced smiles and spoke their practiced words. I hated every second of it. Aurora, darling, stop sulking. My mother appeared beside me, her Botox-frozen face arranged in what she probably thought was concern. This is an important night for your father. Every night is an important night for father. That doesn't explain why I had to be here. Because you're a Belmont. And Belmonts show up. She adjusted an invisible flaw in my dress, a midnight blue gown I hadn't chosen and didn't want. Now smile. We have guests. She glided away before I could respond, leaving me alone with my expensive champagne and simmering resentment. 25 years old, and I was still being paraded around like a show pony. Still expected to smile and nod and pretend I cared about mergers and acquisitions and the endless accumulation of wealth I'd never wanted. I'd tried to escape. Tried to build something of my own. But every gallery application was mysteriously rejected. Every investor suddenly became unavailable. Every door I tried to open was quietly closed by my father's invisible hand. Charles Belmont didn't believe in independence. He believed in control. You look like you're plotting murder. I turned to find a woman watching me with amused dark eyes. She was beautiful in a way that commanded attention. Dark hair swept into an elegant updo. A red dress that probably cost more than most people's cars. A smile that suggested she saw right through my practiced composure. Just imagining alternative realities, I said. Ones where I'm literally anywhere else. I know the feeling. She extended her hand. Gianna Valenti. And before you ask, yes, those Valentis. The name hit me like cold water. Everyone in New York knew the Valenti family. Knew what they did, what they controlled, what happened to people who crossed them. They were the shadow behind the shadow, the power that even my father's money couldn't buy. Aurora Belmont, I managed. I know who you are. Her smile widened. You're the reason we're all here. Excuse me. Before she could answer, the string quartet fell silent. My father appeared on the small stage at the front of the ballroom, microphone in hand, wearing his public face, the one that suggested benevolence rather than ruthlessness. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening. Tonight marks a historic moment for the Belmont family and our organization. Organization. Such a clean word for the ugly things my father did. As many of you know, we've been working toward a significant partnership for some time now. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that partnership has been finalized. Applause rippled through the crowd. I took another sip of champagne, wondering which company my father had absorbed or destroyed this time. But more than a business arrangement, tonight we celebrate something even more precious. The union of families. Union of families. The words sent ice through my veins. Please welcome my daughter Aurora and her fiancé Matteo Valenti. The champagne glass slipped from my fingers. Fiancé? What fiancé? I'd never even met Matteo Valenti, much less agreed to marry him, but before I could move, before I could scream or run or do anything at all, a hand closed around my elbow. Smile, a deep voice murmured. We have an audience. I turned to find myself face to face with the most dangerous man in New York. Matteo Valenti was tall. That was my first coherent thought. Tall and broad-shouldered, with the kind of presence that made the air feel heavier. Dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble. Cheekbones sharp enough to cut. And eyes, God, his eyes. They were almost black, bottomless pools that revealed nothing and saw everything. He looked at me like he already owned me. What the hell is happening? I hissed through my practiced smile. Your father is announcing our engagement. Try to look happy about it. I don't know you. I never agreed to any engagement. I'm aware. His grip on my elbow tightened, not enough to hurt, but enough to remind me I wasn't going anywhere. We can discuss the details later. Right now, you're going to walk to that stage with me and play your part. And if I refuse? Something flickered in those dark eyes. Amusement, maybe. Or warning. Then I'll carry you. Your choice. My father was watching us, his smile fixed but his eyes hard. The message was clear. Do this, or face consequences I couldn't imagine. I walked to the stage. The applause was deafening as we ascended the steps. My father embraced me with theatrical warmth, whispering, "Don't ruin this," against my hair before releasing me. Then Mateo was beside me, his arm around my waist, his body radiating heat and danger. "Ladies and gentlemen," my father continued, "please raise your glasses to Aurora and Mateo. May their union bring prosperity to both our families." 300 glasses lifted in toast. 300 smiles congratulated a union I'd never chosen. I was going to kill my father, but first I was going to deal with the man who thought he could claim me like property. "Thank you all for your warm wishes," Mateo said, taking the microphone. His voice was smooth as silk over steel. "Aurora and I are thrilled to share this moment with you." And to make it official, he reached into his pocket and produced a ring box. Black velvet. Probably containing something obscenely expensive. He wasn't. He couldn't be. He opened the box to reveal a diamond that caught every light in the room. Massive. Perfect. It's a shackle disguised as jewelry. Then he knelt. The crowd gasped. Cameras flashed. My heart stopped. "Aurora Belmont," he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the silent ballroom. "Will you marry me?" This was my moment. My chance to end this farce before it began. 300 witnesses to whatever I said next. Media present, ready to broadcast every word. I looked at the ring. The man holding it. At my father, whose expression had shifted from smug satisfaction to barely concealed warning, and I made my choice. No. The word echoed through the stunned silence. I saw shock ripple through the crowd. Saw my father's face go pale. Saw my mother's hand fly to her heart, and saw Matteo Valeni smile, not the polite smile he'd worn for the cameras. Something else. Something that made my blood run cold. He rose slowly, closing the ring box with a soft click. His eyes never left mine. "I appreciate your spirit," he said quietly, for my ears alone. Then he turned to the crowd, his voice projecting with easy authority. "It seems my bride-to-be needs some convincing. Don't worry. I can be very persuasive." Nervous laughter rippled through the guests. They thought it was a joke. A charming moment of resistance before the inevitable surrender. Mateo's hand found the small of my back, steering me toward the edge of the stage. His lips brushed my ear as we walked. That was impressive. Foolish, but impressive. I meant it. "I'm not marrying you. I heard you." We descended the steps, moving through the crowd that parted like water before us. But here's the thing, Aurora. I wasn't asking. You literally just asked. On your knee. With a ring. That was theater. For them. We reached a private alcove, hidden from the main ballroom by velvet curtains. He turned to face me, his expression hardening. "The arrangement between our families was finalized weeks ago. Your father agreed to the terms. The only variable was how publicly you'd accept. My father doesn't have the right to sell me." "Sell you?" Something like offense flickered across his face. "Is that what you think this is? What else would you call it? Trading your daughter to a criminal in exchange for what? Money? Protection? Whatever debt he owes you. Your father owes me $43 million. Money he embezzled from my legitimate businesses over the course of 5 years." Mateo's voice was cold. The arrangement we reached was considerably more generous than what he deserved. And I'm part of that generosity? You're part of the solution. A bridge between families. A symbol of cooperation and good faith. I'm a person. not a symbol. In my world, everyone is both. He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne. Something dark and expensive that made my traitorous body respond despite my fury. You can fight this, Aurora. You can scream and rage and make everyone's life difficult, but the outcome won't change. Your father signed contracts, made promises, bound your family to mine in ways that can't be undone. Contracts can be broken. Mine can't. His hand rose, fingers brushing my jaw with unexpected gentleness. But here's what I'll offer you. Accept this engagement. Play your part publicly. In private, we'll negotiate. Find an arrangement that works for both of us. What kind of arrangement? Whatever you want. Within reason. His thumb traced my cheekbone. You want your own space? Done. Your own money? Done. That art gallery you've been trying to open? I can make it happen in a week. I stared at him. How do you know about the gallery? I know everything about you, Aurora. Your favorite color is green, though you tell everyone it's blue. You hate champagne but drink it at parties because it's expected. You've applied to 17 gallery spaces in the last 2 years and been rejected from all of them because your father quietly sabotages every attempt. The accuracy was terrifying. The intimacy of his knowledge felt like violation. You've been watching me. I've been considering you. As a partner. As a wife. His eyes held mine. I don't make decisions without thorough information. And based on your thorough information, you decided to buy me from my father like cattle. I decided to rescue you from a father who sees you as nothing but an asset. His voice softened unexpectedly. You think I don't know what Charles Belmont is? What he does to people who disappoint him? I'm offering you an escape, Aurora. A way out of a cage you've been trapped in your whole life. By putting me in a different cage. By giving you a choice you've never had. He stepped back, giving me space to breathe. Marry me. Gain access to resources and freedom you've never experienced. Build your gallery. Live your life. All I ask in return is that you play your role in public and give this arrangement a genuine chance. And if I refuse, then your father faces the full consequences of his betrayal. Your family loses everything. And you? He paused. You go back to the life you've been living. The one where every door is closed before you reach it. Where every dream is crushed before it can grow. It wasn't fair. None of this was fair. But life had never been fair to me, and at least Mateo was honest about his manipulation. I want it in writing, I heard myself say. Everything you just promised. Legal documents. Binding contracts. Something like respect flickered in his dark eyes. Done. I want my own quarters. My own staff. Complete privacy when I request it. Done. And I want the gallery. Not eventually. Now. Before any wedding takes place. He studied me for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. You negotiate like a Valenti. I negotiate like someone who's been underestimated her whole life. Then we understand each other. He extended his hand. Do we have a deal, Aurora? I looked at his hand. The future it represented. At the cage I was choosing over the one I'd always known, I took it. We have a deal. But, Mateo. Yes. If you betray me, if you break any of these promises, I will find a way to destroy you. I don't care how powerful you are. I don't care what it costs me. I will burn your world to the ground. His smile widened into something almost genuine. I believe you. He lifted my hand to his lips. This is going to be an interesting marriage. It's not a marriage yet. No. His lips brushed my knuckles. But it will be. The Valenti compound was nothing like I expected. That I'd imagined something dark and threatening. Gothic architecture and shadows. The kind of place that screamed danger to anyone who approached. Instead, I found floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over Manhattan's skyline. Modern furniture in clean lines and neutral colors. Art on every wall, real art, pieces I recognized from auction catalogs and museum collections. You seem surprised. Mateo appeared beside me as I stood frozen in the entryway. I expected something more intimidating. Because I'm a criminal. Because you're you. His lips twitched. I'll take that as a compliment. He gestured toward the living area. This will be your home for the duration of our engagement. Your quarters are in the East Wing, completely private as promised. You'll have your own entrance, your own staff, your own schedule. How long is the duration? The engagement? 3 months. The wedding is scheduled for Valentine's Day. He watched my reaction carefully. Too cliché. Too soon. Your father's debts are significant. The longer we wait, the more interest accumulates. Metaphorically speaking. I moved deeper into the space, trailing my fingers along a marble countertop that probably cost more than a year of my salary at my father's company. And after the wedding? What then? Then we're married. For better or worse. For how long? That depends on you. He leaned against the kitchen island, arms crossed, watching me explore his home like a cat in unfamiliar territory. I'm not interested in trapping you forever, Aurora. If after a year you decide this isn't working, we'll discuss terms for separation. A year. A year of genuine effort. Not sabotage. Not cold shoulders. An actual attempt to make this work. He held my gaze. Can you do that? Can you? I've been preparing for this for months. I've restructured my business to accommodate a wife. Cleared my schedule for the honeymoon. Made arrangements for your gallery that would make most investors weep with envy. Something softened in his expression. I'm not doing this to punish you, Aurora. I'm doing this because I believe we could be good together. You don't even know me. I know more than you think. He pushed off from the counter, approaching slowly. I know you spend every Sunday at the Met, always starting with the Impressionists. I know you take your coffee black but add sugar when you think no one's watching. I know you cried at your grandmother's funeral even though everyone said she was cruel, because you understood her in ways they couldn't. The intimacy of his observations made my skin prickle. That's surveillance, not knowledge. It's attention. There's a difference. He stopped an arm's length away. I've been watching you for 2 years, Aurora. Not because your father owes me money. Because you fascinated me. Fascinated you how? Every woman in our world plays a role. The dutiful daughter. Perfect wife. The social butterfly. You play the role, but your eyes give you away. There's fire there. Rebellion. A mind that refuses to accept the cage everyone tries to put it in. His voice dropped. I wanted that fire. I still do. You wanted to own it. I wanted to partner with it. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm standing, this looks exactly like ownership. Then you're not standing in the right place. He gestured toward the windows. Look around you. Look at what I'm offering. Not a cage, Aurora. An empire. One that could be yours as much as mine. I don't want an empire. I want a gallery. Then have both. He reached into his jacket and produced an envelope, handing it to me. The deed to a building in Chelsea. 5,000 square feet. Perfect for a gallery. Already zoned and permitted. Yours regardless of what happens between us. I stared at the envelope. What do you mean regardless? I mean it's a gift. Not a bargaining chip. Not leverage. A gift because I want you to have something that's purely yours. He closed my fingers around the envelope. No strings. No conditions. Just yours. Why? 'Cause your eyes lit up when you talked about it. Because you've been fighting for this dream your whole life and no one's ever helped you. He paused. Because I want to be the person who gives you what you deserve. I didn't know how to process this. The man who'd essentially purchased me from my father was now giving me gifts with no strings attached. The contradiction was dizzying. What do you want in return? I told you. Nothing. Everyone wants something. Fine. His jaw tightened. I want a chance. A real one. Not grudging cooperation or cold tolerance. I want you to see me as something other than a monster who bought you at auction. I haven't called you a monster. You don't have to. It's in your eyes every time you look at me. He stepped back, creating distance. Take the gallery. Build something beautiful. And when you're ready, maybe you'll see that I'm capable of building beautiful things too. He walked away before I could respond, disappearing into another part of the compound that I stood alone in his pristine living room, clutching an envelope that contained everything I'd ever wanted, given to me by a man I was supposed to hate. Nothing about this situation made sense, and yet, for the first time since my father's announcement, I felt something other than rage. I felt curious. The East Wing was more apartment than quarters. 2 bedrooms. A full kitchen. A living space with windows overlooking a private garden. An office that had been set up with art supplies and design software, as if someone had researched exactly what I'd need to plan a gallery. Mateo had researched exactly what I'd need. The realization should have felt invasive. Instead, it felt like being seen for the first time in my life. Ms. Belmont, a young woman, appeared in the doorway, dark hair pulled back in a professional ponytail, tablet in hand. I'm Elena. Mr. Valenti assigned me as your personal assistant. I'm here to help with anything you need. Anything? Within reason. Elena smiled. Though Mr. Valenti's definition of reason is considerably broader than most employers. What if I needed help escaping? Question was a test, and Elena knew it. Her smile didn't waver. I'd advise against it, ma'am. The security here is considerable. But if you're genuinely unhappy, I'm authorized to arrange a meeting with Mr. Valenti to discuss your concerns. So I'm a prisoner with an assistant. You're a guest with resources. Elena stepped further into the room. I know how this looks, Ms. Belmont. I know what you've been told about Mr. Valenti and his family. But I've worked for him for 3 years, and I've never seen him treat anyone with disrespect who didn't deserve it. He bought me from my father. He rescued you from your father. There's a difference. Elena's expression softened. I've seen Charles Belmont's file. I know what he had planned for you if Mr. Valenti hadn't intervened. What do you mean, planned for me? Elena hesitated. Perhaps that's a conversation for Mr. Valenti to have with you. When you're ready. I'm ready now. With respect, ma'am, you're not. You're angry and overwhelmed and looking for reasons to hate a situation that might not be as terrible as you believe. She set her tablet on the desk. Give it time. A week. If you still want to leave after that, I'll personally help you plan your escape. You do that. Mr. Valenti gave me specific instructions. Make sure she's happy. Whatever it takes. Elena shrugged. If happiness means leaving, then that's what I'll help with. I studied her face, looking for deception. Finding none. Why does he care so much about my happiness? That's another conversation for him. Elena moved toward the door. Dinner is at 8 in the main dining room if you'd like to join Mr. Valenti. But if you'd prefer, I can have a meal sent to your quarters. I'll think about it. Of course. She paused at the threshold. For what it's worth, Ms. Belmont, I hope you stay. This compound could use some fire. She disappeared, leaving me alone with my confusion and the envelope still clutched in my hands. I opened it slowly, pulling out documents that confirmed everything Mateo had said. A building in Chelsea. 5,000 square feet. Deed transferred to Aurora Belmont. No conditions. No contingencies. He'd given me my dream. The man who'd claimed me as his property had given me the one thing I'd been fighting for my entire life. I didn't understand him. Didn't understand any of this, but maybe Elena was right. Maybe I needed to stop looking for reasons to hate and start looking for reasons to understand. I went to dinner. The dining room was smaller than I expected. Intimate. A table for two, set with candles and fresh flowers, overlooking the twinkling cityscape. Mateo stood by the window, still in his dark suit, but his tie was loosened, his sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms corded with muscle. He looked almost human. "You came," he said without turning. "I was hungry." Liar. He faced me, and there was that almost smile again. "You were curious." "Maybe both." "Then sit. Let me satisfy both appetites." We settled across from each other as staff materialized with wine and appetizers. The food was exquisite, each course more impressive than the last. But I barely tasted any of it. "Elena said you had something to tell me," I said during a lull between courses. "About my father. About what he planned for me." Teo's expression darkened. "That's not dinner conversation." "Then when?" "When you trust me enough to hear it without assuming I'm manipulating you." "How am I supposed to trust you when you won't tell me the truth?" "Truth isn't always a gift, Aurora. Sometimes it's a weapon." He set down his fork. "Your father is a monster. Not the kind that hides under beds. The kind that wears suits and smiles and destroys lives with fountain pens instead of guns. I know what my father is." "Do you?" His dark eyes held mine. "Do you know about the girls he's trafficked through his shipping company? The witnesses he's had eliminated? The daughter he was planning to sell to a Saudi prince for $50 million? The words hit me like physical blows. "What?" Before I intervened, your father had accepted an offer from Rashid Al Fayed. $50 million for your hand in marriage. No prenup. No escape clause. No protection for you in a country where women have few rights. That's impossible. He wouldn't, he would. He was. The contract was signed 3 months ago. Mateo reached into his jacket and produced another envelope, sliding it across the table. I intercepted it. Made a counteroffer your father couldn't refuse. I opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside, documents in Arabic and English. My name. My photo. Terms that made my blood run cold. "He was going to send me away," I whispered. "He was going to sell you to someone who would have destroyed you." Mateo's voice was gentle but firm. "Whatever you think of me, Aurora, whatever you believe about this arrangement, remember one thing. I saved you. Not because I wanted to own you. Because I couldn't stand the thought of what would happen if I didn't." Tears burned my eyes. I blinked them back fiercely. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" "'Cause you needed to choose this arrangement for yourself. Not out of fear of the alternative." He reached across the table, his fingers brushing mine. "I wanted you to stay because you saw possibility here. Not because you were terrified of what waited outside. So you manipulated me into choosing you. I gave you information when you could handle it. That's not manipulation. That's mercy." I stared at the documents. At the future I'd narrowly escaped. At the man who'd apparently saved me from it. "Why?" Question emerged broken. "Why save me? You could have let my father sell me. You'd have gotten your money either way. 'Cause I've watched you for 2 years. 'Cause I've seen you fight for scraps of freedom in a world that gave you none. Because when I imagined someone breaking that fire..." His jaw tightened. "I couldn't let it happen. So this is about ownership after all. You just wanted to own me yourself." "No." His hand covered mine fully, warm and firm. "This is about partnership. About finding someone who matches me. About building something together instead of destroying alone. You're a criminal. I'm a businessman who operates outside conventional law. There's a difference. Is there? Yes. His eyes held mine. I've never trafficked a human being. Never killed someone who didn't deserve it. Never destroyed an innocent life for profit. Can your father say the same? I couldn't answer. Because we both knew the truth. I'm not asking you to love me, Aurora. Not yet. I'm asking you to give me a chance to prove that this arrangement can be more than a cage. His thumb traced circles on my palm. Stay 3 months. If you still want to leave after that, I'll let you go. No conditions. No consequences. You said a year before. I'm revising my terms. Something vulnerable flickered in his expression. I don't want a prisoner. I want a partner. If I can't earn that in 3 months, I don't deserve it at all. I looked at him. At this man who was nothing like I'd expected. Who'd saved me from a fate worse than the one I'd imagined. Who was offering me dreams and freedom and something that looked almost like honesty. 3 months, I said finally. 3 months. And if I decide to stay after that. His smile was slow and warm. Then we renegotiate. 3 weeks into my captivity, I stopped calling it captivity. The gallery consumed me in the best possible way. 5,000 square feet of raw potential, transforming day by day into something that was purely, entirely mine. I chose every paint color, proved every light fixture, agonized over the placement of each wall and the angle of each spotlight. Mateo stayed out of it, as promised. He didn't offer opinions or suggestions, didn't try to control the vision. He simply made resources available and let me create. Tea was intoxicating. You're smiling. I looked up from the floor plans spread across my desk to find Gianna Valenti in my doorway. We'd seen each other several times since the party, and each encounter had chipped away at my defenses. She was warm where her brother was cold, then where he was guarded. A bridge between his world and mine. I'm working, I said. Working and smiling. My brother must be doing something right. Your brother is leaving me alone. That's what he's doing right. Is it? Gianna crossed to my desk, examining the plans. Because from what I've seen, you two have dinner together every night. You watch movies in the screening room on weekends. He brought you flowers last Tuesday for no reason. He's being polite. Mateo doesn't do polite. He does calculated, strategic, and intentional. She looked at me with knowing eyes. He also does smitten, apparently. He's not smitten. He canceled a meeting with the heads of 3 crime families because you mentioned wanting to see that gallery space in person. A meeting he'd been planning for months. Gianna smiled. That's not polite, Aurora. That's infatuated. I didn't know what to do with that information. Didn't know how to reconcile the cold businessman who'd announced our engagement without my consent with the man who remembered my coffee order and asked about my day. Even if that's true, it doesn't change how we started. No. But it could change how you continue. Gianna perched on the edge of my desk. Can I tell you something about my brother? Could I stop you? Probably not. Her smile faded. When Mateo was 17, our father decided it was time for him to prove himself. He arranged for Mateo to execute a man who'd betrayed the family. A public display of loyalty and ruthlessness. My stomach turned. And Mateo did it? He refused. Told our father he wouldn't kill someone just to prove a point. Gianna's voice softened. Our father beat him so badly he couldn't walk for a week. Then he made Mateo watch while someone else did it. That's horrible. That's our world. The one Mateo was born into, not the one he chose. She met my eyes. He spent his entire life trying to change things from the inside, ending the practices he finds unconscionable, protecting people who would otherwise be sacrificed. He's not a saint, Aurora. He's done terrible things. But he's trying to do better. Why are you telling me this? 'Cause I see how you look at him when you think no one's watching. Like you want to trust him, but you're afraid. Gianna stood. Fear is reasonable. He's a dangerous man, but he's also a good one in his way. And if you give him a real chance, he might surprise you. She left before I could respond, and I sat alone with my floor plans and her words, wondering if it was possible that the cage I'd been fighting against wasn't really a cage at all. The first sign of trouble came a week later that I was at the gallery, supervising the installation of lighting fixtures when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Normally I'd ignore it, but something made me answer. Aurora. Finally. Sebastian Cole's voice sent ice through my veins. How did you get this number? Your mother. She's worried about you, darling. We all are. His tone dripped with false concern. The Valentis are dangerous people. You shouldn't be mixed up with them. I'm fine. Don't call me again. Wait. Don't hang up. Something shifted in his voice. Desperation, maybe. I need to see you, Aurora. I made a mistake letting you go. I want to fix it. You didn't let me go. You abandoned me when my father threatened your family's investments. I was scared. Can you blame me? Yes, I can and I do. Aurora, please. He was practically begging now. Just meet me. One conversation. If you still want nothing to do with me after that, I'll disappear forever. I already want nothing to do with you. Then you have nothing to lose by meeting me. A pause. There are things you need to know. About Mateo. About what he's really planning. I should have hung up. Should have told Mateo about the call and let his security handle it. But Sebastian's words planted a seed of doubt that I couldn't quite ignore. What things? Not over the phone. Meet me tomorrow. Cafe on Madison where we used to go. Noon. I'll think about it. That's all I ask. His voice warmed. I've missed you, Aurora. More than you know. He hung up before I could respond, and I stared at my phone, heart racing, mind spinning. Sebastian had been my first love. My first heartbreak. The man who'd promised forever and delivered nothing. What could he possibly know about Mateo that I didn't, and why did part of me want to find out? I didn't tell Mateo about the call that I told myself it was because there was nothing to tell. Sebastian was history. A meeting would only confirm what I already knew. It wasn't a betrayal to want closure, but as I slipped out of the compound the next morning, Elena's knowing look suggested I wasn't fooling anyone. The cafe was exactly as I remembered. Cozy and pretentious, with overpriced pastries and coffee served in cups too small for the cost. Sebastian was already there, seated at our old table by the window. He looked the same. Blonde and polished, and exactly the type of man my mother had always wanted for me. But where I'd once seen charm, I now saw weakness. Where I'd once felt attraction, I now felt nothing. You came. He rose to greet me, leaning in for a kiss I turned into a cheek brush. I came to listen. Talk fast. Same Aurora. No patience for pleasantries. He sat back down, gesturing for me to join him. Fine. I'll get to the point. Please do. Matteo Valenti is using you. His eyes met mine. This whole arrangement with your father, it's not about debt or partnership. It's about revenge. Revenge for what? Your father testified against Matteo's uncle 15 years ago. Put him in prison where he died. The Valenti family has been waiting for payback ever since. I processed his words, looking for the lie. Finding only sincerity. That's true, why marry me? There are easier ways to destroy my father. Because destroying Charles isn't enough. Teo wants to take everything from him. His money. His reputation. His daughter. Sebastian leaned forward. When the wedding is over, when you're legally bound to him, Matteo will expose your father's crimes. Everything will come crashing down. And you'll be trapped with a man who only wanted you as a trophy of his victory. How do you know this? I have sources. People who work for the Valentis who are willing to talk for the right price. His hand found mine across the table. I'm trying to protect you, Aurora. Like I should have done before. Protect me by getting me to leave Mateo. Protect you by showing you the truth. His grip tightened. Come away with me. Right now. I have money, resources. We can disappear before Mateo even knows you're gone. I looked at his hand on mine. At his earnest eyes. At the future he was offering, and I saw the trap for what it was. Who put you up to this? What? Who told you to come here and feed me this story? I pulled my hand back. Because I don't believe for a second that Sebastian Cole suddenly grew a conscience and decided to save me from danger. His expression flickered. Just for a moment. But it was enough. I don't know what you're talking about. You were never a good liar, Sebastian. That's why our relationship ended. You couldn't lie convincingly enough to hide that you were sleeping with my roommate. I stood. Tell whoever sent you that it didn't work. And don't contact me again. Aurora, wait, don't. I turned back, and something in my face made him shrink. I may not fully trust Mateo yet, but I trust him a hell of a lot more than I trust you or anyone connected to my father. I walked out without looking back, but as I reached the sidewalk, a familiar voice stopped me cold. Aurora. My father stood beside a black town car, his smile sharp as glass. We need to talk. I considered running. Considered screaming. Considered a dozen different ways to escape the confrontation I'd been dreading since the night of the announcement. Instead, I stood my ground. I have nothing to say to you. Then listen. Charles moved closer, his driver forming a wall between us and the street. You've had your little rebellion. You've made your point. Now it's time to come home. The compound is my home now. That prison is temporary. A mistake I'm in the process of correcting. His eyes hardened. The arrangement with Valenti is being dissolved. I found a more suitable match. The Saudi prince? I know about that, father. I know what you planned. Something flickered across his face. Surprise quickly masked. Then you know I have your best interests at heart. Your interests. Never mine. I stepped forward, years of suppressed rage finally finding voice. You sold me like property. Traded me for money you stole. And when that didn't work, you found another buyer. I found you a future. You found yourself an escape from consequences. My voice shook. Well, here's the thing, father. I'm not going anywhere. I'm marrying Matteo Valenti in February, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. You think he wants you? Charles laughed. You're a means to an end, Aurora. Tool for his revenge. The moment you're no longer useful, he'll discard you. Maybe. But at least he's honest about his motives. I met his eyes. Can you say the same? Silence stretched between us. Then my father's expression twisted into something ugly. You've always been ungrateful. Your mother spoiled you. It made you think you were special. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to something venomous. You're not special, Aurora. You're currency. And currency doesn't get to choose who spends it. Watch me. I turned and walked away, expecting his hand to close around my arm at any moment. Expecting violence. Expecting consequences. What I found instead was Mateo that he stood on the sidewalk, Nico and two other guards flanking him, his dark eyes fixed on my father with lethal intensity. Charles. His voice was pleasant. Terrifyingly so. Funny running into you here. My father went pale. Valenti. I was just threatening my fiancé? Yes, I heard. Teo moved forward and my father stumbled back. Let me be clear about something. Aurora belongs to herself. But her well-being is my responsibility. And if you ever approach her again, if you ever speak to her with anything less than complete respect, I will destroy you so thoroughly that no one will remember you ever existed. You can't, I can. I will. and I'll enjoy every moment of it. Mateo's smile was cold as winter. Now leave. Before I decide that waiting until February is too long. My father fled to his car without another word. Town car disappeared into traffic, taking his threats with it. I stood on the sidewalk, shaking with adrenaline and something else. Something that felt dangerously like gratitude. You followed me, I said. I was concerned. Mateo turned to face me. Sebastian Cole contacted you. I knew your father wasn't far behind. You knew about Sebastian? I know about everything that threatens you. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. Are you okay? I don't know. Tears burned my eyes. I just told my father I'd never see him again. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to feel about that. However you feel is valid. His hand cupped my cheek. Come home, and let me take care of you. Home. He'd called the compound home. And for the first time, it didn't feel like a lie. "'Kay," I whispered. He led me to his car, and I let him because maybe, just maybe, I was starting to trust him after all. The gallery opened on a snowy December evening. I stood in the center of my dream, watching 300 guests flow through spaces I'd designed, past artwork I'd curated, drinking champagne I'd selected. Every detail was mine. Every decision reflected my vision, and it was perfect. You're glowing.